Yeah, turn off the TV.
Oopsie. Welcome, everybody.
Are we live?
We are live.
We're live.
We're back for our
late.
latest live review
Yeah.
of Married at First Sight.
Sorry, guys. We're about 10 minutes late, but
We
it's
like
my
to catch Married with Varying Millions that comes on right after.
Yeah. At least
That's a good
half
show.
of it. Oh, dang. We didn't see what happened with Rodney and old girl.
No, we didn't. We'll catch it a little bit later. That's a fun show. Let us know if you guys watched that one.
Yeah. We don't know if we need to do reviews about it, but it's an interesting show. So anyway, welcome back, everybody. I'm Danny. This is
Eric.
And this is the Glowing Up Black podcast. Our weekly breakdown
of Married at First Sight season 12. Today's episode is episode 12.
We're winding down. The couples are at like 5 weeks married now, right?
Yeah. They're on the other side of the clock. They're like 24 days left as opposed to 24 days in. So it's coming to an end.
Yeah.
It is coming to an end. So
still lots of stuff to talk about.
Yes.
Who should we start with?
We're going to start with either Haley and Jacob or Brianna and Vincent.
I thought you were going to say like Chris and Paige because they were so easy.
They were easy. They're one of the top ones too. We can knock them out the way. We are going to do Chris and Paige first. Normally they're the juiciest. I think today was just like it was a breath of fresh air with the way Paige was framing things, and we finally got to see Paige's family.
Oh my gosh, her brother was so sweet. First of all, he really poured into her. He talked to her about, kind of what she has coming, down the pipeline. Like, this is just a blip, and
what's up, Jazz 90?
You did what you had to do. Hey, and you'll be rewarded with with the life that you wanted. Paige seems really reticent in understanding that she really wanted this marriage. And we kind of got some background into it because she talked about breaking generational curses.
That was one thing she mentioned. So obviously Paige is a child of divorce, similar to Virginia. And she was probably more in her head about, I want a husband and I'm not going to be my parents in terms of getting a divorce.
Mm-hmm. So that's what we were saying, right? The whole time it just felt like she was so needy, like something was missing in her childhood, so we don't, she didn't really delve into that. But as a child, I mean, of course, I'm not going to try to play myself.
As someone who have been divorced.
I was definitely in my 20s. But, when there's divorce in the air, okay, as a kid, you do feel that like tension. Mm-hmm. So,
And it changes how you think about yourself getting married and what you think you are going to do. Yeah. I as well, my parents got divorced when I was in college as well. And it's something you think about and you take it into your relationships, definitely.
Yes, so you definitely don't want to repeat that, and because you remember how you felt in those situations. So
yeah, and she mentioned that, she's figuring out what loving herself looks like. And Bree just reminded her, like, girl, you're 26. Just imagine who you're going to be and how life is going to be when you are, not Bree, her brother did this, when you are 30, 40 and 50. Like, it's only 4 years from now, but a lot could change. A lot will change for you between now and 30. And just be excited about taking this lesson forward.
Yeah. I mean, she, again, talked about feeling like she had gotten the short end of the stick. She revealed that Chris actually told her that he's reconciled with Mercedes and wants to move forward with the divorce. I mean, we knew from last week. Essentially, Chris has been saying, I want a divorce. Like, I don't know.
Since day
like 3 weeks. I mean,
since
at least for the last 3-4 episodes, he's at least mentioned the word divorce
over and over again.
Constantly. It seemed like she finally got it because he said that he had reconciled with Mercedes. And then
she
talks about how she didn't want, how it's like he didn't understand like that she missed a couple phone calls and he tried to like put it on her.
And I'm glad she understood the gaslighting of that comment. Just like,
so annoying.
Don't try to guilt trip me into not picking up your phone call when you literally haven't done. She said you barely done the bare minimum, let alone above and beyond for this relationship. So I'm not about to feel bad for choosing myself. And he ended up meeting his mom and telling her, or at least giving her his side of the story on, you know, them getting a divorce. And
his mom seemed surprised.
She did seem surprised. And then she sort of settled into, oh, this is who Chris is. This happens. If you don't want to do something, he's not going to do it. So there's definitely a lot of brattiness in his past.
And it seems like this is a pattern with Chris, which makes sense, seeming as how this is like the
third engagement /
the
marriage.
Third sort of attempt at marriage. You know, 2 previous engagements, and now Paige and he said that if the baby, I don't know, he said like, well, he did say like he wouldn't have done the show if he knew about the baby, because I think some people felt like he knew about the baby and still went on, did the show, and he, you know, saluting the fact that he didn't. But I don't know, it's kind of weird.
He's impulsive, but I don't think that he would have gone on the show with the baby, because he's all about his image. And so he would have kept that under wraps. Yeah. I think he wouldn't have put himself through this much drama.
Yeah. And Paige sat with the girls and just kind of filled them in. And they all seem like relieved that she finally kind of, you know, handled that situation. And also she revealed that she had 2 therapists. And I think similarly to the experts, where were your therapists, Paige?
She probably was talking to him this whole time, and like, it's just they didn't sign that release form, so you couldn't put that conversation on camera. Listen, Paige has come through it. She's come out the other end. She's got language to describe her experience and her trauma, and she's trying to move forward. So we're happy for her. Thank God for Paige.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Paige.
You did not play yourself on this episode.
Exactly. So,
all right, cool. Unless anybody has any comments or anything about Paige and Chris, we're going to keep it moving.
Yes. So it's either Brianna and Vincent or Haley and Jacob.
We can do Brianna and Vincent.
Okay. So there's pretty much nothing to talk about with these two. They're just having the time of their lives. But then they dropped a bomb. It wasn't a bomb. It was just an interesting, poignant moment in next week's episode's trailer. And it was...
Wait.
I know. I'm jumping all the way there because... you must have comments. I don't have any comments about Brianna.
So when they first, you know, when the show kind of first opens, they show like Vinny, like Brianna, she's like thanking Vinny for, you know, just being so sweet to her and planning all these cute dates. And he's like, okay, well, where's my date? You know?
Yeah.
And so he goes on this long tangent about all the dates that he wants her to take.
He mentioned like 10 types of dates. He was like cigar lounge.
All like kind of big dates. She was like, okay, I was thinking dinner and a movie. And so what it said to me was like that all that he's kind of putting out. And I think this is what like, this goes back to people's love languages, right? Yeah. That people
speak what
like communicate or do what their own personal love language is. So it's less about like what you like and more about like how they receive love. And so he did all these surprises and he really wanted her to do these like elaborate planned dates for him. And I don't know if the camera was being funny or not, because it definitely seemed like Vincent was high maintenance, but they definitely zoomed in on his fingernails. And I was like, oh, this is a manicured man. Okay. Like this is a high maintenance
But we know Vincent cares about
Champagne Vinny got his nails
about the
done.
way he looks. Listen, he's got the bespoke suits. He's worried about whether or not his shirts are too tight. He's got the bespoke nails. I'm pretty sure his eyebrows were done in next week's episode. They just looked way too clean.
You said something. I didn't know who you were talking about.
So listen, he likes to look good, but you know what? And I'm glad you reminded me. It's interesting. We had a conversation about like the idea of romance in our recent video, and I think you just got to remember, like, unfortunately, like it's not framed this way well, but men like to be romanced in terms of like, you thought of something, it was something you knew I was interested in. I'm gonna feel good because you put something. And you plan something, you put some effort into it. Exactly. Yeah. So like men like to be romanced too. Put some effort into it.
Therapy. Oh yeah. You know, Bree did say that in the conversation.
Right before. She had one session.
But Paige also said that she had 2.
And Clara was talking about, was it Clara? No. It was
The other one, Virginia.
Yes, Virginia was talking about getting a therapist and needing a therapist for her anxiety.
Yeah, because what Paige said was like, especially in marginalized communities, like, you know,
it's stigmatized. Idea of managing.
So I was interested in like kind of what she meant. I mean, it's nobody's business. Essentially, that's like personal medical information. But, you know, just the fact that she had 2 therapists. But I was also wondering, like, do you have 2 therapists? Do you mean you have like a spiritual advisor and also like a therapist? Or you have 2 separate therapists? Like, what do you need 2 therapists for? Unless there's like, because there are like Christian centered or whatever your faith is, like, you know, therapists, like
which makes sense.
So it's very because they could essentially be saying 2 opposite, like opposing things, right? Like
that's very true. But sometimes you want to get both, and then you know you mesh it together for yourself and your own truth.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Let us know what you guys think about Brianna and Vincent in this week's episode. But I do want to mention next week's trailer. So
I'm sorry, I don't know if y'all hear that, but our daughter is going off.
Ham right now. She should be asleep, but she is not. She's having a concert.
If you hear yelling in the background, that's just our 4-year-old.
Yes. So Brianna said to Vincent in next week's episode that she is scared of having children. She's scared of the birth of having a child, like the actual birth process. And it just reminded me that they are going to need to understand each other's learned experiences, like actual cultural experiences. And this is just my own opinion and some of my truth just based on living with a Black woman. But a Black woman having a child in America is a dangerous feat. And
focus, my child is screaming.
There is some, something there that he has to.
Maternal mortality is a huge topic.
Yeah.
And what Eric and I were kind of discussing before we got on was just that, like, especially if you don't already have a child and you're just constantly reading all the stories about it, like,
it's very scary.
It's very scary to like go into it thinking I might die for a child I don't know yet, and I'm not pregnant, right? So it's like I'm not holding, they're not in my belly, like I don't have this bond. Versus like, I mean, I remember when I was pregnant and there was sort of just starting to be those conversations of there weren't really like Black maternal mortality per se, but it was more like Black women go to the doctors and they're not like doctors have these concepts where they aren't understanding or giving any attention to the pain that Black women suffer. And so if you say like, I'm in pain, like they're not really listening, or they sort of think, oh, you're strong,
they diminish
you can handle it.
You're exaggerating it for some reason.
Or not exaggerating, but they really believe like you have like stronger skin or thicker skin or something, I think was the article at that time. So like they really believe the pain tolerance is higher. And I remember feeling that when I had an emergency room visit when I was pregnant, and I was in like excruciating pain, and they had me in there. I was in the emergency room for 10 hours. And I finally just got up like, I need to leave, because I was watching all these other people come in and they're offering, medication and for people like just coming in off the street, like, looking for some kind of pain drugs or what have you. And I finally said, you know what? I've been here for 10 hours. I told you I came in excruciating pain. No one has even offered me a Tylenol.
Right.
Like nothing. I had like a couple of tests ran, but otherwise it was like they bring you to get the test and then they bring you back and you're just sitting there. And I'm like, my pain hasn't stopped. I mean, it was just great. And I was like, I could do this at home, And, it was like this whole thing where I had to sign. And like, of course, once you're like, I'm ready to go, then all the doctors like, oh, well, no. And I'm like, you had 10 hours to like check in on me and you did not, Yeah. And so anyway, going back to Brianna's concerns, I mean, we don't want to spend too much time on it because it's not really
happened yet.
It hasn't happened in this episode. That was just in the trailer. But yeah, it's just knowing that these things happen just for regular things. Like you've got to be, entirely nerve-wracked, to think like I could lose my life because people won't believe that like I'm suffering when I am.
Right.
And sometimes, a lot of times, and we see this with a lot of the women, right? Where like there's this thing where they have something to say and they don't like say it. And I think that's sometimes a woman thing, not all women, but there is this thing that happens where we kind of like, also think like, maybe I can handle this. Maybe it's not that bad. I don't want to complain or bother anybody. And like, we got to like, let that superwoman syndrome go. So anyway, I'm really looking forward to that conversation between Brianna and Vincent.
Yeah, because I don't want Vincent to make it about her not wanting kids, and actually lean into her real fears and give her some safe space there. So we'll see what happens next week episode. Let us know what you guys about how that has, maybe you've had that type of experience, or if you have any thoughts about it.
Jazz said Vincent's love language is definitely affection and gifts. Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pampered, gifts, affection, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, I like those things too. So
wink, wink, hint, hint. Hear you loud and clear. Haley and Jacob.
Oh boy, Haley and Jacob. I
guess I've developed a new theory about Jacob, is that it's not even that he is really about what he likes. It's that he's just not curious about anybody else. Or maybe not even anybody else, but definitely not her.
Definitely not her. It's hard to say, right? Because we don't know how he is with other people. Although I think when you see him in the other couples, like, like everybody is sort of similarly like, he's one note.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they just kind of tolerate him. And I think it's because he doesn't show any interest in anyone else besides the things that he finds interesting.
Right.
But this episode, they kind of open up and they're talking about their fight last episode. And they discuss why, like Jacob lashed out, because it seemed, Haley thought they were like trying to be positive, her thing. And then she ends up crying at the end. And he's just kind of like, telling her how bad of a human that she is because she can't, give him, any sign of affection at all.
Right.
And so she seems like surprised by his outburst, but he felt like, well, it was just kind of boiling under the surface there.
Right. Which is interesting because they say at some point that Haley says to him at some point, we can't go a day, let alone an hour, without arguing or without making things heavy and making some things serious, which means he's always bringing it back to this point. So she does not get a break. She's overwhelmed. Yeah. It's too much. And she wants to let all that go. And he's like, no, it has to be about this right here, right now. So,
and there's this thing that happens with a couple of the guys where it's like the women are clearly breaking down and the guys just keep like just steamrolling over them. I'm like, at what point do we see tears in a person's eyes, male or woman,
and not soften a bit?
Yeah, and just like keep steamrolling to get your point across. It's like, no, tears are a sign that like I'm overwhelmed. This is too much. You're doing too much. Please stop or change course.
Right.
And it's like Jacob is unable to do that, and so he really felt like Haley kind of pushed like, I just want us to have more fun. And so he was accepting of that. I think Jacob felt like thoroughly cleansed from having that lash out session last week. And so he was more open. So they go karting or what have you. It looks like they're having so much fun. Haley's like, I'm a competitor. And like, I'm
you can tell she comes from a family and an environment where they're like competitive sports. I'm pretty sure she's like really into college football, and anybody that's into college football is a competitive nature individual.
Well, also she lets it be known after she wins the race that, which is so funny because Jacob like completely spins out and Haley does this move where she goes like, she cuts him out on the inside and just like wins. And it was like, really good. It was kind of like watching a mini NASCAR or something like that. So it's really cute. She definitely like rubbed it in his face.
Yeah.
And okay, we're gonna have a visitor. Let her come on. She can come on for 2 seconds. Come say hi to the people. Hopefully, we're gonna put her back to bed. But you guys are gonna meet our daughter, Autumn. Do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Why aren't you sleeping?
Exactly. It's sleepy time.
Okay. Say goodnight. Okay, good night.
All right, good night.
She can't see you guys, so yeah. Sorry about that. We are live. This is awkward. We're parents, so these things happen. But hopefully Eric will be back. But anyway, I was talking about who am I talking about? So anyway, so Haley wins the go-karting race and she rubs it in Jacob's face. And he's just like, you could tell it's like he's smiling a little bit, but Jacob is so weird because she clearly wants him to engage with her. He could do some kind of witty banter or something, try to say like, oh, you won. You didn't tell me that your family did this go-karting like every weekend of you growing up. And he didn't give her anything. So he just does that, kind of stoic Jacob thing.
But that's who he is.
And it just kills the vibe.
Exactly. She tries to be happy, giddy, increase the energy in the room.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope.
Yeah. Bring it back down to me.
So
to my dry, wry sense of humor. But it's like, you're not even laughing. You're sort of like, it's almost like, there's like, sometimes there's people who like hold in a laugh, like they hold in joy. It's like, why? Why are you doing? Let it out.
I don't know.
I think they're in their head
I think
too much.
He was very much a quiet person when he was younger.
Hi, Lee. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for joining us. And I think that that's just who he is, and he's just never gonna go up too high. Even when he's angry, it's sort of just like.
Yeah, but he's like a little bit of an a-hole. I don't know. I don't really like
digs
his
in
anger.
He doesn't know how to communicate with her, and I don't think he's curious about her. And it's less than like being not interested. It's just he's not even curious. He doesn't even ask questions.
Yeah.
When she tells things about herself.
What was she?
You said she was talking about a Thailand trip.
Yeah, she was telling. Oh my gosh. So so two of the couples went on a trip to Thailand. So with Jacob and Haley and Brianna and Vincent. I'm sorry, they did not go to Thailand. Sorry. They went to like a pumpkin patch flower place or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so the girls are talking and the guys are talking, and Haley is like filling Brianna in, and she's like, yeah, we had like some fun, but like I was telling him about my trip. It's just like he's uninterested in me. And so they shoot the camera does a flashback to Haley and Jacob on the couch, and she's like, yeah, I went to Thailand last year, and it was like all pad thai and massages every day. And then they pan to Jacob, and he's like, yeah, we should probably get to those dishes in the sink. And it was just like crickets. Like, why are you like bringing the energy down? Like, act interested.
Right.
She's telling you an interesting story.
Gail actually says exactly what she says. I think Jacob knows he's not for everybody and went on the show so experts could match him. And you said earlier that
we talked about that off the
camera. He just wants
someone
to show up in his life and match perfectly. He doesn't want to do any of the work.
Fully accept him for who he is.
Right.
And and not have any work to do. He just thinks like, you guys matched me, and so this person should accept me fully.
It should be perfect for me.
And I don't have to do any kind of changing because you should have provided me with the perfect match who will understand, get, or at least tolerate me. And it's like, Jacob, that's not how it works.
Eric
like
is the same way, actually.
The work.
Eric is the same way.
Yeah.
So,
anything else? Did you take any notes on that?
No, I just know Haley needs more, and Jacob needs to do more.
I mean, they at least were not fighting on this episode, and so that felt refreshing. It feels like they could have a shot, but then again, how do you drum up someone who is interested in other people? Like I don't. It's like
who's not interested in other people.
Like what is it? Is he just so self-involved? Or is he just like, I am who I am? Because I almost feel like when you don't like ask somebody something about themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know that Haley takes great pride in her travels and adventures. Mm-hmm. Jacob, not so much. And so I'm wondering if he's kind of doing it on purpose. Like, you may wow everyone else with these, Gulliver's tales, traveling all over, but like, I don't really care about that. So like, I'm not gonna feed into it. Like, because sometimes people do petty things like that, and it's like he's just trying to show like you're gonna have to come with something else because that's not interesting to me. Because remember, like he just got his passport like last year, like he hasn't been out of the country, so like he just could maybe like not be into other cultures, not be into. He just might be like Mr. Americana, and he's like, you're just not gonna win me over with like other people's cultures. Like I don't think it's cosmopolitan.
Maybe there's some pettiness in regards to you don't like me, I don't really like what you like type situation. But this has been going on since the very beginning. Like I remember when they had their aquarium date and they were having these conversations about who they are and what they like.
Yeah.
Or when you see him at the dinner table with her parents or her family.
Yeah.
When they first got married. He's so like uncurious about other people. All he cares about himself. And so it's like this weird self-centeredness that was born out of, I don't know, I think some level of deep insecurity when he was younger.
We are really diving deep with that.
Listen, we're doing a live analysis.
Can you just be self-centered and not feel mean, but just be self-centered and like not like have no understanding that you don't connect with other people? There's a word for like he's self-centered but has no self-awareness to the fact that he brings nothing to the table.
Right. Gigi Vegas 2003 says, I feel like he's only like that with Haley because he is interactive with other people. And both Jazz and Lee say that he's just not a good communicator at all.
I think
yeah, but
he was okay with Brianna and Vincent.
But what was he talking about? Their relationship and his concerns and where they are. So again, it's the things he wants to talk about. He can communicate, or at least he can lead a conversation. Exactly.
Yeah. But does he show interest in the other side? Because I mean, the thing about Brianna and Vincent is they're both pretty mild people. So they are easy to tell. They're a good pair to other people. Like we've seen them pair with Chris and Paige, like, you know, those kinds of reactions. And they're both pretty mild, accepting people. So they pair well with anybody because they're not going to give anybody too much pushback.
Right.
So you know, perhaps Jacob just like looks okay and that's.
Yeah, he was just comfortable talking about his pain point. And I think if it doesn't revolve around him, it doesn't involve him rather, then he just has no muscle for it. He just cannot do it.
I just think he needs help, right? Like I feel like I do think like the way that he works out and you saying like he has no muscle for it, like I do feel like he needs like specific tools, and like this is where the experts come in, like Dr. Pepper, where you at, girl? You know, to give him the tools. I think
Dr. Pepper's next episode.
Okay. I actually miss Dr. Pepper. She's so cute. To give him the tools to like try new things. Like maybe he would not be open to it, but I feel like he needs a roadmap because he's lost and he thinks that he knows it all.
Yeah.
He's not a jerk.
But he's socially awkward. But he's socially awkward. And according to his parents, he's always been this way, Gail says.
Yeah, but if people just accept you, right? Like, oh, he's just always been that. Sometimes people have bad behavior and people just accept that. And they're just like, oh, you're always like that. And they're like, well, somebody needs to push them, you know, to try to be more amenable to new experiences, new people, new space. And so if you just have always allowed someone to be 100% who they are and never trying anything different,
right?
You know, that's like the kid who like says, oh, I tried guitar lessons, I gave it, I don't like it. Okay. You know, I tried track, I didn't do well.
You're not pushing them to step outside their comfort zone. You don't just accept
that as like parents. Like you need to like push your kids. But am I remembering this right? Were his parents like kind of older? So maybe that's it too.
True. I mean, but he's also 38. So his parents are probably, if not in their 60s, maybe their 70s.
Yeah.
So,
you know, maybe they were just kind of like mild at that point in life.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Sorry, guys.
Haley and Jacob go on the way of the dodo, I believe.
Oh, Lord. All right. Let's do, I don't know. The last two are like a little bit more juicy.
Yeah. Well, we can do Eric and Virginia. I want to dive in because I got so
everybody has so like this underlying theme in this episode is that everybody has these dogs.
Yes, everybody's a dog parent.
and it's like this coming together of dogs. And so
a couple
this
of the guys have
starts,
dogs, all the girls have dogs, all the women have dogs.
Yeah. And so this kind of starts the episode out because like Eric and Virginia are having an argument over her dog
Rocky, who
I don't know why I was about to